Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Friday afternoon, or whenever you're watching this, of Cardboard Alchemy Live. I mean, this is what we do. We stream, right for the weekend. We show you behind the scenes at a board game publisher. We are the makers of Flamecraft, Andromeda's Edge, Critter Kitchen, and Mission Catastrophe. I've got Rosie in the comments. She's our comms manager, willing to answer any questions, get you on. We are happy to talk about what games you're playing this weekend. The first thing we're going to talk about, though, is this baby, Andromeda's Edge, which hopefully is delivering to you soon if you don't already have it. I know there's someone in the comments. Ellie is like, where is my copy? This is the first week of US distribution, US fulfillment. We've actually already fulfilled. We've already started fulfilling Andromeda's Edge in 6 countries. Those countries in order of fulfillment are Australia, China, Hong Kong, New Zealand, Canada, and no one saw Canada coming, and the United States. And there are many more countries to go. I believe there are I have had campaigns with up to 80 countries. I think there might be, 60 to 70 countries that we are delivering Andromeda's Edge to. This is a campaign that started the design started a long time ago. The campaign itself launched in January of 2023. This is the third game that Cardboard Alchemy is fulfilling, delivering, creating, making, going through the gauntlet on. And one of the things we could talk about this show is what happens at this stage. This is a very interesting stage. This is the part of this is the part of game making that many a designer that thinks I'll publish my own games does not realize how intense this part is. And it's different if you crowdfund versus if you go straight to retail. There's challenges in each case. We have hundreds of retailers asking us questions. We have thousands of backers asking us questions. Amazing, awesome questions. They can range from the rule book. They can to my address changed yesterday. Can I quickly change my address? When is it coming? Are we there yet? I don't understand where to put this piece. I mean, there is so much stuff happening. There are people playing this solo game right now and playing the heck out of this game and talking Unity strategies against the solo opponent, which has 9 levels, by the way. There are people talking about the wash and the miniatures that are in this game. And some people got the standard edition and are loving the fact that it doesn't have miniatures. One of the things that we did with this game is we created 17 products, which is another monumental task, which is why it took such a long time. And there's a lot of care making 17 products, some of which I have right here. These are the 4 products that are going into retail following the release of the game to all of the backers on GameFound. Wow, we already have questions like, will there be an expansion with space chickens? I cannot confirm or deny that space chickens will ever make it into this game. And Ellie says, it's so odd to think that your last fulfillment was Flamecraft, which seems so long ago. It is. That's sort of an interesting part of it, because as Cardboard Alchemy, we've made 4 games. I have another one over here that I could bring on, but only 2 until this moment have been released. So it feels like we have created 4 things, but only 2 are out there, and only 1 is still on shelves, which is Flamecraft, which is on a lot of shelves, which is great, fantastic. And we hope that Andromeda's Edge will now be it's that promise of, hey, we can make things and deliver. We don't just do it once; we do it many times. Let's see. We've got. Is it possible for the retailers to get some AE upgrades? At this moment, the AE base games and the expansion are available from distributors. Actually, all 4, there's 4 retail products, just so you know. This bottom one, currently this is the all-in right here. But what this is there's something called the Supernova, which is the deluxe box, which comes with all the trays and all the minis. And then there is the expansion, the exotic manor, which are the promos, and then the base game. So when if there's customers that go to retail stores later and they want to put together the deluxe edition, that is possible. All of the gameplay is possible. As far as upgrades, there are some things that were in the all-in edition that were on the campaign, but also offered to retail backers that backed the campaign. So if you missed out on those as retailers, we hope you'll back our next campaign, because we do offer all the bells and whistles, usually when we do campaigns to retail. And after that, we try and do the best we can at putting everything that people want into retail. And we know that a lot of people are going to want the miniatures, all the blinged out resources, all the trays. That's why we made this for Lucky Duck and any partner that wants it. Now, what's interesting about working on a game like this is that we have 10 partners worldwide for Andromeda's Edge, and some of the partners are not ready for the expansion. They just weren't ready. They said, "Well, we'll translate this part, but we won't touch this part." And I'm hoping that, and I understand, because it's unlike the backer experience, which is, hey, I want everything right now and I want to get it all. And in retail, of course, you have to make sure it's a hit first. So I understand that it'll be limited to get every piece in every region, but we're going to do our best to support this game, make many more, much more content for this game if it goes well. Oh, it's Ellie's saying, I feel so special that I have a copy of Mission Catastrophe. Mission Catastrophe is our first game at Cardboard Alchemy, and it is a space game also. I never thought that at Cardboard Alchemy we would make 2 sci-fi games. That is a shock to me, the publisher. But we did. This is our second one, and well, I believe we've created a galaxy. So we'll see how that goes. And thank you for posting that, Rosie. Andromeda's Edge is #1 on Board Game Geek, which is the website that tracks everything to do with board games. We've actually been in the hotness, which I've been very excited about. I've been tracking it for the last week, and we popped in the hotness about 6 days ago. We rocketed to #1, and all I could say is thank you for everyone for believing in this game and checking out this game and telling your friends if you like it. They thought space was cold, but the edge is hot. As Luke posted on Facebook, we are not at the edge of the galaxy. We are in the center of the galaxy right now. And as we head into Essen and BGG Con and PAX Unplugged, we hope that this game really, really resonates with people, and people are spreading the word about Andromeda's Edge, because it is here now. It is happening. The edge of the galaxy is ready to be explored, and there are 18 factions inside this thing. There are 14 different, raiders that can run into, and there are, there's so many events. There's 30 event cards, 3 different event decks. There are different modules like quasars and vortexes and the nether void. There is so much going on in Andromeda's Edge. This is the biggest production I have ever been a part of. I've helped develop and produce over 40 games. This is the biggest one I have ever touched. The rulebook pages are 68 pages with a full appendix to describe every card and go over all the factions and all the raiders and everything you might run into, and start off the frequently asked questions. Of course, we're getting even more questions and gameplay, really fun. People are digging in, and we're seeing that on Board Game Geek with tons of topics where we're supporting that with our frequently asked questions sheet over there. We've made videos of this game. Rosie, I'm going to bring Rosie on. Rosie made, I truly believe this, Rosie, the best reboxing video that's ever been done for a game. Andromeda's Edge, people are saying it's the ASMR a joy, because you do such a good job of capturing taking things out of a bag, punching boards with transitions. I loved watching that thing.
Who knew that being a clickbait content creator for 5 years, doing craft videos where I hold scissors and go snip, snip, and cut stuff
Yeah.
up and whatever, and
Yeah.
turn into the ability to film things top down. But yeah, that was the longest unboxing video I've ever done. They usually rank between 1 to 2 minutes, and I cut a
Yeah.
lot of stuff out because it's short form. But that
Yeah.
was 15 minutes, and we had to
It,
show
yeah.
everything. So even there were times I was
Unboxing.
like, should I show every single card? No, there's too many. I can't show every single card.
We might have to make. We have. Are we going to do one for standard?
Yeah, I filmed it. I just need to edit it. But we're also
Okay, great.
doing how to set up the game video first. I think
Yes.
that's more
How to set up the game video. We have a lot of fun videos coming because not only do we do our. I don't know if anyone's been watching the faction breakdowns. I'm having a lot of fun with the faction breakdowns. Rosie's doing an amazing job editing the faction breakdowns. Are we at like 11? Say the 11th faction, maybe? It's the
Yeah, we
snap.
are at the 11th. Yes, the
The
11th.
11th. The 11th faction. In some games, we're past how many factions they give you. We still have more to go. There's 18 factions, and I want to cover the solo opponents, and I want to cover the special regions. We're going to do videos. Tim Chewin helped us film at a retreat that Rosie talked about last week. Helped us film 2 big plays of Andromeda's Edge, but then there's also all this extra content as well that we got. Now, the big plays of Andromeda's Edge, I'm going to warn everyone now, if you're watching this, you get a sneak peek of the fact that I get absolutely destroyed in a 2v2 game. So destroyed that I was like, we can't show that. I can't possibly let my reputation go like that. But no, we're going to show it in its entirety, the embarrassing destruction of the publisher.
You
I had an
were
amazing
Will
teammate.
Wheaton in tabletop because Will Wheaton never won in tabletop.
Yeah, I need revenge against Danny Standring and Grant Lyon. And I'm telling you right now, I will be back. I will be back. I gave them amazing factions and they learned this game so fast. Oh my god.
If you're
I
coming back,
regret
you
it
have to be
immediately.
the Mecha on Synthborn so you can have the Terminator.
That was one of the problems. I actually think that this video is going to expose. There's a lot of people who will play this game and think, I just got wrecked. What happened? I had a strategy. I had plans. But this game isn't going to let you just sit and create your best plans. It is going to throw obstacles at you. And I will tell you some of the obstacles. This is a sneak peek. One of the obstacles was the Ancient Brain. Now, this is the promo raider that we gave to people for doing the puzzles. Why did we unlock this raider? It destroyed me. It sat there on the Odessa field, blocking me from ever going. If I was like, oh, I could just launch to the Odessa field and everything will be okay. If I get a couple of modules, I couldn't get there. I couldn't launch there. I didn't have a fighter. So here's a tip. If you're in a big game, if you're in a 4 or 5 player game or a 2v2, build your fighter. Because if you can't launch somewhere because it's occupied, you are going to get in trouble like I did.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened is that Danny was the Plutonian Empire. Now, the Plutonian Empire might be the best faction of Andromeda's Edge. We're going to find out today if the Plutonian Empire is the best faction of Andromeda's Edge. I love that faction. And Danny built the Doomsday device, which is a heavy cruiser. And she hunted me all the time in that thing. Oh, I can't believe it.
Because I saw you play the Plutonian Empire the first game or second game we ever played on TTS. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing over there with that clock. Like, what are you doing? And now I've been editing your faction video. I'm like, this is OP. Like, what's going on?
It is devastating. That faction is so much fun to play. I love that faction. It might be the best.
But
I think it would probably be the best.
For me, I had no idea what you were doing because I was just learning the game, and now I'm like, oh, this makes loads of sense. Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah. What's interesting about the factions is you don't need their powers to win. Andromeda's Edge, just like Dwellings of Eldervale, you could win with just learning getting the worker placement down, just developing in the case of Andromeda's Edge and getting the points, just figuring out where you're going to get your points. A lot of people online are already saying, oh, the commerce track is OP. Oh, the civ track is OP. Oh, the industry track is the best. you just if you focus on points, you don't need your faction's ability, but your faction's ability gives you secret pinholes into some of the blocks of the game. You can actually they give you fun variants to try. For example, the Plutonian Empire, one of the abilities that we're going to talk about is this sabotage, which means that when you pull back to your station, you could damage everyone else will take a damage on their modules. Now,
if you know that you've got the Plutonian Empire, you're against them.
yeah,
The thing I would immediately do is try and get a repair moon or like
yes.
some
See,
serious
that's the
repairs,
thing
'cause
is
they
like,
are going to be brutal.
yes, you have to study the other factions and what they can do. There was a classic game I was playing of Dwellings of Eldervale against someone who was doing great. Their worker placement strat was on, which is they were on the top of their game. But I had a dragon with tentacles that could suck people into my hex. And so I would disrupt their perfect play, which is what you've got to do in these types of games. They are interactive. You cannot let someone, you have to do what Danny did to me in that game and just not let me have what I want. So
I guess
the other game that we,
so you can be like, you stop them and I'll get all the points.
yeah, right. It's not just stopping them. You also have to score big. And that's what they did. Grant and Danny were like, we're going to disrupt. I was playing with Jason, who, by the way, did amazing. I let Jason down in that game. Well, you'll see. They did amazing. They scored and they blocked. That was key. I love 2v2, and I will play 2v2 all the time. The other game that we filmed is a 4-player game where Tim Chewin and Jenna from the Board Game Garden, Jeremy Howard from Man vs. Meeple, and Devin Norris from Lucky Duck Games. All 4 of them played, not a 2v2, but like a 4-player matchup. Another amazing matchup. And we're going to get that video out, I believe, first. Tim Chewin is working on that video. He did not play the Wolves in that game because I played the Wolves in the 2v2. So we wanted to mix it up. And I think it was his first time playing the Pulse War Refugees. Which is an amazing faction as well. I don't think we've not covered the Pulse War Refugees yet.
If we're going
that is the next one after
I did
Plutonian.
get that one out when I was filming today. And I was looking at it going, you start with a really good amount of resources. You have like each one of the resources. So you're kind of
yeah.
You're covered for like a lot of different strategies from the get-go, which is really good.
We should do like an opener. It's not like there's chess moves or anything, but there are like really interesting openers. And if you have a credit in the game, and there's only 4 factions, I think, that have a credit. If I'm not mistaken, 4 out of 18, I think it is Pulse War Refugees, Tolzien Porters, and the 2 Dragon factions.
Yes.
I think they all start with credits. And a credit is an amazing start. If you take one of those 4 factions, you have the ability to buy anything out of the gate. And if you get to a field immediately, you could get a head start. That's not to say that you should ignore a really good moon. If you see a really good moon, you could go there and then pop into a field. But when Luke and I were testing the game at Gen Con 22, we played game after game after game with like solid 12 hours of playing Andromeda's Edge. And we would give everybody 2 credits to start in that environment only as a juice that would just like instantly get the game going. Because what happens in Andromeda's Edge, another lesson of Andromeda's Edge, is that it's very resource scarce. It's actually, it is possible in Andromeda's Edge to build a bad engine. And then as a player, we're going to see posts in about a couple weeks where people are like, this game, I never could get anywhere and there's too few resources. Well, it's because it's designed to push you to the edge. You have to figure out where you're going to get resources from. And you got to make your own fate in this game. You got to get resources somehow. You have to build an engine that doesn't waste them and actually pulls them in and actually generates them. And then you got to use that engine enough times. And eventually the board becomes not the place you're going to get good stuff. You're going to get it from your own space station. Oh, it's so much fun.
The moons are all gone. You're like, no.
Oh, look at this. Mark is working on putting the starting resources on a spreadsheet for everybody so that you could study all of the factions.
Thinking, like in chess, they name starting moves. What
if
people are like the this where you develop as soon as possible, like, that's like
Yeah.
starting move, or you immediately go and build modules. What would we call that? Like the modular move, I feel like
Yeah.
you're like,
That's
oh,
neat.
what's your starting move? Oh, it's got to be immediately attack.
Plutonians to Vortex 2. um, oh, the vortexes. The thing that's so great about the campaign and how much support we got for this game, is that we were able to unlock so many new things. And I love the vortexes. They're an advanced thing. They generate resources every time you stay on the vortex. That's a whole other game in itself. How long can you stay on a vortex? We unlock destiny cards, which, as I've been introducing the game to new people, I've actually been putting the destiny cards in right at the
Yeah, I
get-go.
like I like them a lot. So
I
Doug,
I
my
think they
partner,
help
hasn't played
focus.
them yet, and he
Yeah.
was like, "They would be really helpful for guiding me with a plan because all I do is battle." I'm like, "Yeah, you might want a plan."
Yes. Oh, starting move, figure out wherever Peter wants to develop and steal it. That is effective,
Uh,
sadly.
the
You know,
the
I
anti-Peter move. I see.
the when dwellings first came out, there's two ways of getting points in dwellings. One is to buy adventure cards, which everybody wants to do, and the other one is to dwell, which is the namesake of the game, but people don't think of doing that right away. And then every once in a while you'll find a player like, can I dwell turn two? Can I like can I dwell that fast? And I'm like, you can, but you will be without a worker immediately. As long as you're aware of how that will feel and what that will do. If you dwell twice in a row, you're down to one worker. That's not good, right? In Andromeda's Edge, I just played a game recently where someone went out of the gate with a development, excuse me, because they are different.
Development.
Development. So someone went out of the gate and developed in a really key spot, and I was like, "Oh, that's a beautiful move."
That's what
The
I
only
like to
thing
do. I like to
I was
develop as
rooting,
quickly as possible.
yeah, I was rooting for them to be ship poor after that because I was like, "That was such a brilliant move." I hope it hurts when you don't have the ships you need to get everywhere you need to go right now.
But the amount of leaders in that space, sometimes it's worth it for that many
Yeah,
points,
right,
you know?
sure,
You're like,
yeah,
because as soon as people start picking them up, you're like, "No, you're taking my points. I'm gonna just." That's a great spot right there before the raiders have started to move in. You're like, "I'm taking that good spot."
yeah. Here's another piece. Here's another thing that you just reminded me. If you're playing two player, I strongly I really think you should put in the quasars. Quasars or vortexes, what they do is they allow bigger leader scoring in games that don't have a lot of leaders.
Interesting.
I don't know that I love them in big games as well. I'm just saying that I happen to think that it creates this really dramatic area that those two people want to fight over. Granted, you can play so many different ways. You could play two players with Unity, which is a game that I'm going to play today with one of our team members, Lauren. We're going to play two of us where we're against each other, and there's Unity trying to wreck us both. I'm so excited for that. I can't wait. It
You
has
get
been a
bigger.
hot minute since I've fought Unity with another player, so it's great.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
it's so much fun making games, and of course, we hope to hear everyone's story about this game. If you've backed this game and you try it out, let us know. We have a Facebook group where we're dedicated to answering questions, and you can share pictures and you can talk about it. And the Dwellings of Eldervale Facebook group that I started years ago in 2019 is still going strong this many years later. Mark Dandridge, who's in the comments right here, is actually one of our avid posters in that group and has recently gotten to 500 games played. I'm still going to shout that out, Mark. That's
It's
amazing.
amazing.
I can't
And
wait till
and
you play your
Dwelling's
first
also
game
gone
of
up
Andromeda's Edge.
hotness as well recently. Dwellings has
Dwellings of
moved up.
Eldervale is sitting at 114 on the BGG hotness, which means we are 14 spots away from the top 100 games of all time with Dwellings of Eldervale. And Andromeda's Edge, in the past week, has rocketed 1,000 spots. It started at over 6,000 ranking and now is below 5,000. Top 5,000 games out of, I know, a database. I think it's got 70,000 games. So we're still excited about top 5,000. We're, of course, pushing to see how far we can get with Andromeda's Edge.
On that maths, give us 3 weeks and we're there.
There you go. Oh, look at this. I'm hoping to bring it to a convention next month. No Facebook, that's fine. We actually have, we're all over the place, right, Rosie? We have a Discord.
Yep.
We have YouTube, which this is being streamed on YouTube and Facebook. You could definitely ask us anything on YouTube, on the unboxing video, on any of our gameplay videos. You can ask any questions at BGG, which is our main source of like errata and FAQ and questions, and people are pushing there. You can ask on the campaign wall. We are really readily available. We support our games fully.
You can
We
also
are going to be here.
like message us on Instagram. That's a really
Sure.
easy way to reach us as
Instagram.
well.
You can hit us on
People do
Instagram.
that all the time. Actually, it's interesting. So a lot of you never know what questions are going to crop up when you put a game out because you think you're going to guess them, like how do you fit the
Sure.
game into the box, that kind of thing.
Sure. Right.
The one
Yeah.
that we had the most is how to fit the sleeved elements into
Yes.
the box, and we filmed the unboxing. Fun story. Peter came over to the UK, brought the copy with him. I then unboxed this completely sealed. What was it? Digital print or was it?
It was that was the first. Yeah, it was a digital print of the game. Yeah.
So but
not
I
a mass production copy, but very close.
Yeah, very close. It's like one change.
Yeah.
And I had like a couple of hours before I was meeting you in London for 2 days to unbox it. And we didn't sleeve it because our sleeves are such lovely high quality that they puff up a bit when you first sleeve the cards. So they sit up a bit, but then play it a bit and they flatten right out. So we couldn't do the unboxing. I didn't have time, had to get the game out of there. And then everyone goes, why didn't you sleeve it in the unboxing? And we're like, we filmed it like 2 months ago. We didn't know that would be needed. So actually there's a guide that we've created, photographed, how the sleeved elements fit, and that is on a BGG thread with the unboxing. It's also on the Facebook group and on the Discord. It's pinned, I think.
I need more height. All right.
So, basically, the sleeved cards fit totally fine.
They do. You know what?
When you first get them.
You gotta trust Noah Edelman at Game Trays. He's been making a lot of games. I believe Noah on his back wall has over 200 games that include game trays. Wow. He has designed some of the best games you've ever played. He's designed the trays for these games. He designed Dwellings of Eldervale. He designed Parks, one of my favorite inserts ever. He and that's a great tip, Ellie. He's designed Septima. He's designed Mechs versus Minions. He's designed.
He did Mechs versus Minions.
I think he did that one. Yeah,
beautiful game.
He did Planet Unknown with a rotating Lazy Susan. He did. Oh God! So it's like if you think of any amazing, the Wasteland Express. He did so many. He did Endeavor with an amazing tray that you can pass to other players with the tiles just so. I love the work of Game Trays, and we're so proud that it's in this game. And anybody who struggles with the initial placement just has to learn that there are little tiny nuances to a game trays that you do have to. The sleeves fit, but like as Rosie said, they got to be squashed down. Everything has its place. One of the lessons I just learned is that in Critter Kitchen, we have these boards in the trays there, and Noah designed it so that if you turn the boards one way, like in IKEA instructions, they don't work exactly. And if you just notice that, you're like, wait a minute, oh, these are locked in if they go the other way. So in Andromeda's Edge, if you were to turn the base lid the opposite way, the gap that it creates over the regions would not be there and it won't work. So if you were to turn the resource tray the other way, it wouldn't lock in just so. So these are the nuances that a game tray has. I know that it takes some getting used to, but it makes for this incredible storage system. This is the kind of storage system that on its own would be $100. It would be unbelievably expensive to put that kind of a storage system in a game, and we build it in. Like I know sometimes you can take it for granted, and some people are like, well, it was frustrating a little bit to get used to it, but it is amazing that this game has a built-in storage system customized for everything. Solo all sits in the same place. The factions have a home. The tiles all have a home. There's also a little bit of room for extra tiles, by the way. So someday, spoiler. I'm so proud of the work he did. He made something called what we call the command carrier, which holds the developments. Not only holds the developments, but holds the cards next to the developments, so that when you're building a development in this game, these are the small, subtle things that, as a publisher, we really care about. These are the details that we decided are really important to us. First of all, the 3D developments can be placed on a transport in any direction. You just take your development and you slap it on the transport, and it locks in like a Lego, like something that just has just the right amount of lock in. It sits on that thing. And then when you insert the leader, you go get the development from the game trays, and the card that you need is right there. It's ready to go. So when you're playing the game, everything is stored next to each other. And when you're done with the game, any buildings that you didn't build are already put away for you, and it's easy to put those other developments, pop them off, get the cards back where they go, and you're done. I
love that command carrier so much. It's like snap. It's got the biggest snap of any of them.
It does, actually.
It locks right in.
Fun fact about that: right before production, there was no lid to the command carrier.
What?
I'm telling you right now, there was no lid to the command carrier.
Peter.
Because Noah was like, it's great the way it is. It's going to be great. And I said, I just think these buildings could go flying everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are going to store it vertical. He's like, if you store it vertical, the buildings will still sit. It's fine. We don't need the lid. And I was like, I kind of want a lid. And then he said, all right, we're going to make a lid. And then the first lid that was created, it didn't snap very well. And I was like, can we get more snap? And then the snappiest lid of all time was created. I'm just saying, it's a production of these things is a nonstop trial and error over and over and over again. And we have to ship the trays. First of all, the trays are created on a mold, which is a copper mold, because the aluminum molds are so expensive, but they last longer over time and they get better molding. But you can't make them on the aluminum first. You got to make them on the copper, and then you got to make them digitally. And then when you make them digitally, there's actually a thickness rating, and you go back and forth because every game needs a different thickness to make it so that each component works. And then Noah spends all this time going back and forth with the manufacturer over and over with the right thickness on every tray. It's wild. I'll move this out of the way now because this behemoth.
Like you're next to another backdrop.
There's
a few questions actually.
Look at that one. Yeah, let's do questions. Let's do it. Let's talk about it.
How many cards are in the all-in? There's
no
all-in yet, okay?
There's no all in. When we make a mat someday, a dice tower. How many cards are in there? Okay, there are 172 modules. That's ridiculous, by the way. And here's another tip for people who are playing, because some people are saying, oh, well, all the modules don't fit in the module tray during the game. And that is correct. They're not designed. You don't need 43 modules per type in the game. So what you do is you split the deck in half, or if your sleeve, split it in a quarter. You don't need that. You don't need much more than that. And then you have all the trays sitting in the top of the module tray for gameplay. But when you play several times, you're not going to see the same modules every time. You won't see the space elevator in every game, but sometimes you'll find the space elevator and you'll be like, oh yes, I got the space elevator. There are relic modules. There are obliterated modules. There are metamorphosis modules. There are explosive.
With all of them all the time.
I love all of them. I put all of them in.
I just play with all of them because they were there and I went, just put them all in.
Once you've sampled all of them, I think you should just go. Yeah. Just go with all of them in there.
At no point in the last 4 games with Doug have we gone, oh, we haven't done one of these before. There's not been a huge issue. The only one we looked at was the one with the dice on it, and now I know how that works.
That's explosive. For anybody who's checking, explosive has a little die on it because when you use the module, you roll a die. If it's a 1 through 3, it works. If it's a 4, 5, or 6, it works twice and then breaks. So then it's damaged and you got to fix it. But sometimes it's worth it because some of them are worth that double output, Oh,
look, can I use all the modules, promo, base, and expansion all together, or should I remove some?
They are meant to go all in. Just put everything in. Now,
I mean, I think if you're learning it, maybe don't.
First game, I would play with the base. because it helps you learn what all the modules in the base do, right? You're going to see there's 108 in the base game, so you're not even going to see them all, but you're going to know the types of things that modules can do. And then I would consider mixing in the rest of them, because then you'll see what the differences are. If you know what a good module feels like from the base game, then when you see an obliterated module, which is even better, but double damaged, you'll be like, oh, okay, so that I'll need to spend that repair time on that one if I acquire that one. You'll have a good understanding if you've played the game with the base.
Yeah, we've been playing with double damage from the beginning, and Doug's like, "These are extra. You've done this to me," and I was like, "I'm sorry, I just added
Yeah.
everything in."
They are meant to be everything. So go back to cards. We have 172 mini square cards in the game, and we have 172 of mini European size cards, like the little mini cards, because we've got tactics cards, development cards, we've got destiny cards, all the solo cards. So all of those little cards. And then we've got 51 poker cards. So all told, I had the number the other day. It's like 370. I can't do math very fast. Someone can help me out with 172 plus 172 plus 51. That's how many cards we made in this game. That's a lot of cards.
44 plus what?
What's amazing about that is that when you do sleeved cards, you have to double the space required for cards. So now we're talking about the box has to hold, the all-in Supernova box, if you buy it later, has to hold over 700 cards in it.
295? Maybe? I feel like you'd never do 295. You'd make 5 more things. You would be like, sorry, let's do 300.
Right. 172. 172 plus 51 is actually 395. You got to add 100 to that.
395.
Add 100 to that.
And that's still nowhere near as well.
Then you multiply. I know we got to work on this game. Then when you multiply that by 2, it's 790 cards worth that fit in the game when you sleeve.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So push those suckers down. They'll fit in the tray.
Flatten them with a book, apparently. I didn't even notice when they started to flatten.
Frantically making new cards.
Yeah.
That is funny, Ellie. Yes, we're going to quickly make a couple new. Well, if we make any new raiders down the line, there'll be more cards.
Yeah, the space chickens, obviously. 5 space chickens, each named different things.
Oh, and Mark is pointing out there is one solo card that we found out was going a different direction. So the AI card, there's 2 cards in the level 1 Unity action cards that go northeast, and one of them is supposed to go southwest, and we are reprinting that for anyone who's interested. We posted it on our update. So if you are a solo player and you're interested later, we're also going to make the PDF available if you just want to go. But I find it's out of all the things we could have goofed on the first printing, it is a minor one because there is already a repair on one of the things that's going northeast. So it's very easy to remember that the repair goes one way, the non-repair goes the other way. But this is the kind of game where lots of little things. So we're on BGG. We're posting an errata. There's actually 1 or 2 things that, as we got translators, there's translators that are working really hard. The German translation's done. Hungarian and Spanish were next. There's Polish, there's French, there's Chinese, there's Portuguese, there's Czech. There's so many people working on files right now. And as some of them have asked questions and said, wait, did you mean to say this? We'd be like, sometimes we're like, oh, no, you have that wrong. This is the way that, like, you're assuming something that's not true, or because it's, language that they've got to like absorb the rules in one language and put it into another language. But every once in a while they've said, shouldn't it have said this? This would have been better. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that would have been slightly better if we did it that way. French. That's right. French is coming.
How many factions are references to other games?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see if I can name them all. Okay.
Luckily, it's just games because there's a lot of other references to other things.
We'll start with the Drakenarian Flame Keepers. I mean, there's a Ghostbusters reference in there. Chris Strain also is one of our team members and is a big sci-fi fan. Like Chris and Brad, much bigger sci-fi fans than I am. Chris is like, oh, I have all these fun ideas. So when Luke named one of the modules like, oh, he has one. Luke has references to the in Star Wars the trash compactor, and so in the art, Chris drew like the trash compactor, and then he also drew like there's a carbonite exchange, and he's got Han Solo. And if you look at the graphics, it's like you can see like the little
Almost
references
every
to.
card has like
Yeah, oh
something.
yeah, Chris
It's
put
amazing.
tons in there. There is
It's this
references to Minority
distraction
Report. There is one card, if you could find it, where it has Brad and myself on there. Yeah, we're in the game.
Are you the heads?
There's two heads on one of the Civ modules. You gotta find it.
I think it's Chris's distraction technique for when he plays it with people. He's like, "Oh, be sure to study the module cards to find all the references I put in." Everyone's doing that while he's like, "Eh."
While he's winning the game, yeah.
It's
All right, so let's talk about
very cool.
factions. So the Draconarian Flamekeepers are a reference to Flamecraft. That's number one. The Allied Tribes are a reference to Rise of Tribes, which is Brad Brooks' design. The Elders of Dwellinon are a subtle reference to the Dwellings of Eldervale game that
Subtle.
Luke designed. Yeah, there's a portal. Sergio illustrated the portal and then illustrated the portal in space. So there is the Plutonian Empire, which is a reference to Manhattan Project Energy Empire that Luke made. There is
Flamekeepers.
I did name the Flamekeepers. Well, Mission Catastrophe got a card, not a faction. But I will say that the Techno Blorps is actually no, they are definitely. I mean, Sergio drew Blorp Johnson in Mission Catastrophe and put Blorp Johnson in space with the Techno Blorps. So I believe that's another reference to a game. Luke has card references to Cryo, and he was making a Whistle Mountain faction. I believe that the Whistle Mountain faction became the Weldon Forge folk. I think that we sort of I could be wrong, but I believe that there is some level of Whistle Mountain in there. I don't know if we did any other ones. We were mostly thinking about Luke's other games and Brad's game and Cardboard Alchemy games. I think is what we were doing. So there is no critter.
Really a game. So.
Oh, and there's a Wolf Guardian Howlers, which is dedicated to Tim Chewin. His channel, he often refers to everyone watching his channel as the Wolf Pack, and he is the most he creates the best cinematic game coverage on the internet. We are huge fans of Tim Chewin, and we were so excited to get him a Wolf faction. And I believe if you play this game as the Wolf Guardian Howlers and you do better than I did, you can just tell Tim how you did as the Wolves. He will be thrilled every time.
He also has the how to play video up now.
He does. We should put that in the links everywhere, because how to play Andromeda's Edge, if you're looking for that how to play, we are making several of those. We've got a really good one from Tim Chewin. We got a really good one from Meeple University.
Yeah.
Mark Dainty is covering the solo mode. I'm going to do some more solo mode coverage. Stones of Fate. Oh, Mark, that we should have done a Stones of Fate reference. That is Luke Laurie's first game ever made, with a good friend of mine as well. Jeff Cornelius helped publish that game. Stones of Fate.
There are loads of questions.
We didn't cover that one.
Loads of questions.
Yeah, let's hear it from everybody.
Space-themed game mat. Will there be an official large Andromeda's Edge playmat?
I am glad you asked that, Mark, because I've been thinking about a playmat all of this time, because we had a lot of fun working with Berkey at Game Toppers on the Dwellings mat, and I love Berkey, and I love what Game Toppers does. Here is the rub. Andromeda's Edge does not have a modular set of tiles like Dwellings. It has an actual board that always has to be there, a very large board. So if we were to make a mat, it would have to reprint the board. And there's a big issue for me with that, which is that then the mat's not useful for other space games, because it is essentially just an Andromeda mat. Now, I will be asking people if there's interest in that, because if there is interest in that, and we can get enough interest in that, and people say, oh, with Sergio's art, I would take a fully baked in space mat. I just don't know if there's enough people that want that. And Berkey has space mats, and you just also found another space mat. So, I mean, there's no Sergio Chavez space mat. Now, if people are saying, listen, Sergio Chavez space mat, another way we could go is that it doesn't print the board on it, but just as beautiful space, and then you put the board on it. It's just some people believe that if you're going to have a board and you're going to have a mat, the board should just be on the mat and should gain that advantage, right? So I would love to have this conversation in the Andromeda's Edge Facebook group. When we get past fulfillment, please remind me. Let's talk about mats, because if there are people that say, yes, I am in for a mat, maybe we could even kind of get a count of orders, because the problem is it's a very hard thing to order mats if we don't have enough people. And also it matters where you're from. Usually the only region that can support getting a mat is the United States, because there just isn't the numbers. So I would love to know how people feel about the mat, because we are thinking about potentially returning with Andromeda's Edge to do some more things. I want to know what, after you've played this game, you love this game, tell us what accessories or things you would love to see happen. So
Al says double-sided, one with the board game on one side and art on the other.
Interesting.
I've not seen a double-sided one before. I wonder if there's more damage likely to happen with a double-sided one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know the ones that Berkey makes have a black bottom and they're triple stitched. And I don't know if that prevents anything on the other side. So I'll talk about it with them though, because I'd love to know.
It's cool. I like the idea of, I like mats that serve the purpose of the board, but at the same time, I can see wanting to use it for multiple games.
Yeah, this is the argument Chad has made. For mats I could use with other games. That's where I'm thinking too. If we made the most amazing space mat, then you could play with anything. But I know some people would be disappointed because it doesn't have any like indication of where to put stuff, which I know some people love mats for that reason, is it tells you how to set up, it helps you out. So this is a huge this is a big quandary. And if we get this game out there, then I hope people can help us answer this question. Because, as a publisher, this goes back to hold behind the scenes as a publisher. It is very tricky to know what product will be supported, what product will not be supported. I will give you some examples. When we were first making a plush for Flamecraft, we didn't know enough people would want a plush for Flamecraft. And we were worried if we made a second color plush, it would take away from the sales of the first plush. And if you don't meet the minimum order quantity, you can't get the price there. And if you can't get the price there, then it's not worth it for anybody and everything. So we were really scared about making the plush. Another great example is the wooden tokens, the treasure tokens on Dwellings of Eldervale. I wanted those so bad, but I didn't know if anybody else would pay for them. And they would have raised the cost of Dwellings of Eldervale by at least $15, maybe $20 or $30. And so I took them out of the game for the deluxe edition, because I was like, oh, we shouldn't make the game even more expensive. Nobody wants these, right? And at the time, BackerKit told me, you know what we could do? We could do a survey, and if we get enough orders, they'll go into everyone's cart. And if we don't get enough orders, they won't go into everyone's cart. That was beautiful. So BackerKit really helped us out there. And what happened is people flooded the carts with the orders of wooden treasure tokens. I had no idea that was going to be a thing.
That's amazing.
So what I'm learning is that I like to deluxify games, and there's many other people who like to deluxify games. And bless you all, because deluxifying games is where it's at. Really proud, though, of Andromeda's Edge having a non-deluxified gameplay version as well, so everybody can have it.
Absolutely. It's such a good travel size option for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be the kind of game that we're going to really excited to see it at Essen, because a lot of people who have not been exposed to it, a lot of people who followed our campaign know about it, have heard about it. There are still tons of people that need to discover Andromeda's Edge, and they're going to see this nice, tight, thin game. This one right here is such a great size for a very, very big worker placement game. So we're super excited. By the way, I have another box I wish we'll show. We can answer more questions, but speaking of giant boxes, I just have to do this because this is the box that I had no idea it was going to be this size when we first started making it. And wow, Critter Kitchen, you were trying to be Andromeda's Edge.
All good, just from the front.
Yeah, right. Like, okay, all right, that's it. It's Flamecraft size, but it's Andromeda sized. I just
It's not Andromeda size.
no, it's not Andromeda sized. I'm just kidding. But you know what it has in it? I've just like I showed this to a retailer yesterday. These are the metal stars that are in that thing. And I know I've shown these before in some updates, but these are absolutely glorious. Whew,
I
there they
did
go.
a video on our TikTok
My God.
of the retreat, and I've got footage of Danny seeing the stars going,
Oh yes, when Danny Sandrick saw these, I think we just insta sold her on these
just
babies.
pure
And
joy.
also, I mean, I still haven't had enough time to, get the cart tray. I know there's a reflection here, but look at this thing. Look at this thing.
So pretty.
These are all the different modules you can play with in Critter Kitchen. You can play with sauce and balloons and pies and cookbooks and gelato and dumplings, coffee, trophies. My God, there's so much stuff in this game. And I will tell you that Noah, who had just made Andromeda's Edge and finished cramming the entire galaxy into a box, was like, Critter Kitchen is harder. Critter Kitchen is even harder because there's 7 player trays because it plays up to 7. It's ridiculous. Oh my God. And we also did things like this. Look at this. I love this peppermill in there if anyone's seen that. I cannot wait
I think
for
our biggest complaint will be that there isn't pepper in it and that you can't use
right.
it
Well,
as a
someone will do it, right? Someone will cut it open and like we'll have a
no.
well,
They'll just put a mini
well,
grinder in
the
there.
how-to guide to turn it into an actual
That's my next TikTok, how to turn it into a pepper grinder.
I can't wait to show the mass production copies of Critter Kitchen have come in the building. That's what I was just holding up. We're talking about mass production copies, which means we're good to go after a couple notes, tiny things. Been working really hard on this game. I cannot wait to show that to Peter Hayward and Alex Cutler, who are coming into town. Alex is coming into town. They're going to be blown away. I hope they're going to be blown away. We've pushed so hard on their game. So proud of Critter Kitchen as well. That is our next one coming. We are aiming to get that one out the door. Ellie is asking when. That's going to be January. I hope. We are really pushing to January. We are actually the last couple things with the plants are being worked out. There's a funny. This is another behind the scenes thing that's happened. There is a mistake in Critter Kitchen that is one that I warned the plant about, and they still didn't get it in this mass production copy. And we're going to let it go because it is our logo. Sadly, it's our logo that got a slight difference than it's ever had, and we're going to take it. We're going to call it the spicy version of the logo. But it's the kind of thing where you like go back and forth and you're like, oh my God, is it worth delaying this production over that? Which, would cause massive amounts of things to be reprint and hurt the environment. And so we don't want to do that. And we're like, out of all the things that could have gotten, we're like, well, okay, we'll let the logo go because it's, it's just a logo. But are there chickens in Critter Kitchen?
Yes. Well, there's a cockerel.
There's a rooster.
Rooster.
There's a Marcus Roosterson, who is a critic. No, he's a restaurateur.
So that's a chicken.
There you go. There's also cows. Now you should be very happy, Don, that of all the times people have been saying you should put cows in the game, you should put chickens in the game. Critter Kitchen has you covered. Cardboard Alchemy is now good. We could stop those conversations from ever happening again, I'm sure.
Exactly.
There we go. You can actually still get the deluxe edition as of now. If anyone watching these videos and you are not backing Critter Kitchen, I just want to say that not every game has the trajectory of Andromeda's. Like Andromeda's Edge has the supernova deluxeifications going into retail, but as of right now, Critter Kitchen does not have the deluxe pieces going into retail. There's going to be retailer backers that have it, and then it will be gone. Now, it could come back. We could make a deal. This Lucky Duck could say, well, there's some demand for these deluxe pieces, but like these stars, at the moment, there's only one place, and it's the deluxe edition.
But I want the stars in all of my games, Peter.
You actually, someone said that yesterday, and we are actually now thinking that these maybe could be like a pack that you could get for whatever game you want.
Honestly, I would replace all of the things with
If there are
stars.
games with stars, and I don't know how many games have stars. Could somebody make a list of all the games with stars? Because we'll
I
just
don't think
say
there but it just replace the points, instead of
points. Well, so
instead of
yeah, if you have
having
but if you have a tracker, a board that isn't, you don't need it. But
but you
there
could
are
just
lots of games with points, though.
yeah,
There are
with
tons of
coins.
games with points, with like
Imagine, like, obviously,
shit.
some of the best coins are, like, Ryan Lauka and, like,
Yeah, yeah.
World and stuff like that. Imagine they're going, like, "I adventure
Thanks,
across
Tom.
this desert land," and then a star! Instead of this beautifully ancient coin from Ryan Lauka, you're like, "Mario!"
Someday we're going to have to do, Rosie, like a top 10 components from Cardboard Alchemy where we will pit the stars against the Flamecraft coins and see
No,
what
they're 2
happons.
different worlds, they don't mix.
Well, that's true.
But although I will say the options you've got are if your game doesn't have like nonetry, like 1, 3, 5s or whatever, then
Yeah,
flame. But if you do have that, then the stars.
then Credit Kitchen stars are the way
Yeah.
to go because you get ones and fives and tens.
Which means you need both. Because like at Corey's
Clearly.
house at the retreat, he had a table covered in little different
Oh, yeah, he
thematic
did.
coins.
He did,
And
yeah.
um they were all just there. And I was telling him about my plans for our wedding where we're gonna have some metal coins there and there's gonna be a little quest. For family, if you're watching, go they're not watching, go away. But like he said, "Oh, just go take some coins." I went, "I'm not taking your coins. One, that will add weight to my suitcase. And
And two,
two,
that feels he's so
stop giving
generous, like,
away
he
your
just
coins.
said, "Take some coins. Just take some coins."
Just take the
I think
coins."
he's
Like,
Corey's living the dream because if you're playing like a pirate game, you just go over to Corey's coins and ooh, let's grab some doubloons. Now you're playing like a space age game. Oh, these look funky and sci-fi. And you're playing another one, and he's got the coin for every game. That is
yeah.
amazing.
And he had like futuristic, they were like rainbow metal Japanese futuristic ones that were the coolest to look at. They
Oh,
just
nice. That's
yeah.
awesome.
But yeah, I
I'm
want a
also excited
table
about
covered in coins.
speaking of the metal things that we've made. I don't know if I have a copy of them relatively close, but I'm also really excited about the Andromeda's Edge credits. By the
Oh,
way,
they're beautiful. They're
with
beautiful.
with a hole inside and designed with that really funky shape, and
They're
shiny as
nicest to
all get out.
hold. They're very, very round.
Yeah,
They feel very nice.
games
Um,
are about the tactile components sometimes.
it's to distract other players. Ooh, shiny.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just attacked you and you didn't do anything. There was
That's right.
a there was there
Any
was a
more questions?
question. Yeah, there's so many. Uh,
Okay,
um,
bring it on. Let's do it. It's game on.
um, are you still thinking about adding extra stands for raiders to be displayed?
Interesting question. So we did get this on BGG where someone said, we did a very practical thing in Andromeda's Edge, and we only put 8 stands in the box because there are only 8. You can only have a maximum of 8 raiders out. In fact, if you have the hive, you can only have 7 with stands. And so we just felt like what we'll do is we'll put 2 extra, so in case there's any breakage, we covered that. We put 10 in the box, and someone said, "But I want to display them on my shelf. I want to have them ready to go when someone comes over." And I was like, "Oh my god, the display of them." So I don't have an answer for that because we did not think about the display factor. We should have because they're gorgeous. Um, and stands will be, it's not cheap to put in an order, and I don't know how many people would buy. And so it's like mats. We'd have to go find out how many people want display stands. But since we don't know where Andromeda's Edge will go. If it gets reprinted, if we're going to have another all-in opportunity, we might be able to do something where now we could make the 18th product, which is more stands. So
Well,
I, I
here's the next question that maybe stands would come with. Are
yeah.
you already working on an expansion?
Oh, I will tell you. This is a funny story. Luke Laurie, who designed Dwellings of Eldervale, the day after Dwellings came out for a lot of people, he was already working on. He already had 13 expansions. Now, for whatever reason, expansions don't always see the light of day. So do not take this as there's definitely going to be expansions, but Luke and Maximus have already thought of expansions for Andromeda's Edge. I will say that they have thought of expansions already for Andromeda's Edge. Now we're looking at those, and we're going to see what the appetite is for this game, and if there's appetite for more. The tricky thing about the box is there's not that many more spaces for raiders. I actually could cram raiders in 1 or 2 of the spots. So we'd have to talk about if everybody wants like separate box, or if we could do just a little bit of stuff that gets in the main box. But you know, it would be a dream to keep working on this game. I love Andromeda's Edge. We crammed so much in the game, though. I will tell you that while you're waiting for the verdict, seriously, 18 factions, 3 event decks, like, I mean, 172 modules to discover. There's vortexes. The vortexes and quasars and Nethervoid are mini expansions that are in the game. The 2v2 mode is in a mini expansion. The Destiny cards is a mini expansion. So fortunately, we have some things to play for right now. But you know,
a lot of options.
More. Here I will tell you this. Okay, if you think of a fun faction theme or a fun raider theme, there's a lot of people. There's someone on BG that started posting about lore, like how did the leaders get into the nebula. I love to see that kind of stuff. If people start posting the lore of Andromeda's Edge and what's out there, and all about the different factions that are out there, maybe we'll think of some other factions that need to be in Andromeda's Edge.
Yes, please write Captain Kirk journal entries of your games. I would love that.
Yes, please. Stardate. Okay, by the way, I will just mention here, there is Andromeda's Edge on TTS. If you are waiting, you can go and play it digitally with anyone in our Discord who's also, there's games happening. So, and here's an update on Europe. So, Spiral Galaxy is one of the best. First of all, is there another company that's more destined to deliver Andromeda's Edge than Spiral Galaxy? Spiral Galaxy is a cracking bunch of individuals that are the fastest at delivering, and they were going to start, like, I think today. They were seriously going to start today. And then the port said there's congestion at the port and we can't get the container there till Monday. How dare they? How dare they do that to Andromeda's Edge? Don't they know that we are waiting for this game in all of Europe? So Spiral Galaxy plans to start Monday with a move that I have never seen anyone attempt, but they are going to try and unload it at the dock and start immediately shipping it. I mean, they are on it. They are trying to help us deliver Andromeda's Edge at warp speed. So please give them all of the good thoughts. Spiral Galaxy is going to be on it. Do not email them and say, where's mine? Because that will slow them down, because they're going to be at the docks trying to help you.
They'll be like...
Anyway. Can you get mine out of there in the back? Do not do that to Spiral Galaxy.
Hang on. Yep.
They are amazing. They're amazing what they do. We are so excited to see Spiral Galaxy at Essen and congratulate them, because they're going to get so many out. Hopefully, we'll do as many before the show as we can, and then they'll do as many immediately after as they can. There's obviously a lot of places to ship that game to. They handle Europe and the rest. They handle like the rest of the world, so they handle like everywhere that we don't already have a fulfillment center covering it. So,
yeah.
Well, that's nice. They can call you and you'll help. That, you know what? That's amazing. I don't think I've ever seen a backer go to that level before. So if you can get down to the docks.
Do you mean help us in go there, get yours, and leave? That's not helping.
There is a buddy of mine, Martin Poole, who lives really close to where Spiral Galaxy is. And it's infamous that when Dwellings delivered, he actually walked like across the street into their warehouse, got his copy, and exited, and posted it on the internet that he got the first copy. I was like, Martin, you can't do that to people. That's it drove everyone nuts. They were like, what? You have your copy? But he lives right there. He's like right there. So he just got his copy. He is an amazing guy. So he deserves a copy.
When can we expect
playthrough? Okay, well, Tim Chewin, we mentioned earlier in this video that Tim is, we filmed a 4-player playthrough with Tim Chewin, Jenna from Board Game Garden, Jeremy Howard from Man vs. Meeple, and Devin Norris from Lucky Duck Games. And that 4-player is a full game. It is a full playthrough. You're going to see 4 unique factions trying different strategies, and that's going to be our first one that we're going to get out there officially. And then there's going to be more.
4 hours. It'll be the most interesting edit.
It'll be the most interesting parts. Tim Chewin is going to do his usual editing magic on that.
And he went to the toilet. Let's just keep rolling.
But no, when I say full though, it's not. We're not going to go like tabletop style where it's like an interview of, and then I took 5 turns and then it was great. You're going to see what happens when so I believe, so which faction was Devin playing? He wasn't playing the Technoblurps because he'd already tried the Technoblurps. Oh, he was playing the Weldon Forge folk, I believe. He had Gridiron, so that would be really interesting. And Jeremy was the Kraln. If anyone's seen my best faction video on the Kraln, they're very aggressive and they can hatch on the board. I did have to kind of remind Jeremy about the hatching because it's just one of the things you're just not used to it. And then all of a sudden he was like, "Oh my God, you can hatch right over this, doing this great stuff." So Jeremy had a blast. I don't remember what Jenna was playing. She was keep fighting in there with the Arkanoan shipwrights. Oh man.
Nice.
I told her about the combo-licious turns that the Arkanoans can have, and I was watching her, and she didn't quite do it at first, but then she saw it. Then it clicks. Oh, it's so great. Arkanoans are so good.
Which 2 factions would you recommend for my first game for 2-player?
For 2-player. 2-player. Interesting. Okay. 2-player, I would... there's a great 2-player with Maximus and Luke. You can see the Dark Star Acolytes and the Zodian Warmongers. The Dark Star is a little more complicated. So the Warmongers is a great faction because they're aggressive. They have this cool battle prep ability. They also, now we haven't covered them yet, so I don't have a video on them yet, but they also can like chuck diplomacy cards. I don't want to talk. They're out there to fight, so you can get a lot of cards with them. And a very interesting matchup is the Zodian Warmongers who want to fight, and the Pulse War refugees who don't care if they lose a fight. So it's actually really interesting to see those two go together. I think another really fun combo would be the Arkanoan shipwrights versus the Tolzien Porters, because they're both engine building crazy. It's like Arkanoans going combos. Tolzien Porters has so much flexibility and could pick up and deliver. I would love to see the amount of modules you could pick up with those 2 factions.
I liked the Astrodracus when I played it because it was
Astrodracus is
funny.
Astrodracus is an amazing faction. I will say it is one of the more complicated factions to play because your main ability during the game is your dragon layers. And if you're used to the game and you understand how good that is, then I think it's better. In the beginning, you're like, what do I do with the dragon layers? It's very, very hard to get into it at first.
What about the jelly?
The jelly load Technoblurps are also great. But I would play them after I got used to the game as well because they play with damage a lot. They're very easy to play. Nothing's hard to play, but because I think damage is a nuance, when to take too much damage, when to not take too much damage, how much repair to be doing with the Jelluloid is better if you understand the game damage, like if you understand the flow of damage.
Yeah.
Darkstar Acolytes, one of my absolute favorites. The Ghost ability, I'll give you another hint, the Ghostly Presence is better in a 2 or 3-player game than it is in a 4 or 5-player game because the alliance bases are more open. So I definitely do like the Darkstar Acolytes. If you know the game, I think that's a great faction to pick. It's so good. With a 2-player game, the Darkstar Acolytes are devastating. I actually think the matchup with Luke and Maximus is a good one. Zodians versus Darkstar as well. There's so many factions in this game.
Peter and Rosie and everyone in the comments, what is your favorite tactics card to use?
Stealth maneuver.
I don't know what it's called, but I really like the one where I can develop because
stealth maneuver is one of the cards that allows you to possibly develop. What it is that you can secretly put a ship somewhere that's not a launch. So right before you go to the development office, you play stealth maneuver and then pop yourself in a planet, and then no one sees it coming. We put 2 copies of that in the deck because it's so good. I'd say all the cards in the deck that there's 2 of, and there's only about like 7 of them that there's 2 of, they're all the most amazing cards because one of them is called Perfect Shot, where you get a 6 out of nowhere that no one sees coming. You get like an auto 6. But there's so many interesting ones that are one-offs that I really like. Danny in the 2v2 that you'll see was using targeting computers. Oh my God, targeting computers is devastating. A lot of the sustain cards, if you play a sustain card early in your overall, like we have a bunch of ships, then it's going to last a while. And the sustain cards are like magic.
I was going to say sustain ones because, I mean, that gives you, like, if you can get them out early.
Yeah.
a lot of
The
power.
staying cards are great. One of my absolute favorites is Black Market. It's another one that we have 2 copies of in the deck because it allows you to purchase any module. You still have to pay for it, but that's the kind of clutch thing. Like if you're in the end of the game and you're like, oh, I'm 2 away from the vault, and you're like, I need a Hail Mary turn, you go for cards and you pull Black Market, and then you can like, if you can get the commerce track once and then play Black Market, get a commerce module and pump up to that vault. Like that's kind of the move that you can pull off with some of these cards. There's a card that I thought of, which Luke and Maximus put in there, which is that you can clear a module, any one of the module rows, like you get rid of all 3 modules that are up there and then buy any card after you've cleared that row. So what I like doing is potentially clearing the blue Civ row and seeing if I get a good endgame one that I wanted, and if I don't, then I could pivot and still buy from somewhere else if I want to. I love that card. So there's so many fun. The secret of the game is to go get cards. I mean, honestly, the cards they give you flexibility. So if you're like
Really
someone's
good.
beating you down, you're like, oh, I need a stealth maneuver. I need some way to get around this. I need to use somebody else's industry module and get a repair. There are things that are like emergency plans in those tactics cards. Plus there's diplomacy. The people who play this game who are going to be like, oh, I don't want combat, I don't want to fight. You get cards like, oh, this fight's over and everybody else, loses something. I mean, it's like there's these secret traps with diplomacy cards. There's another question about, do we have a favorite unique ship upgrade? I have a story about a ship upgrade that you're going to have to, you might have to go to Will Brown to hear the full story, but he played the torpedo hauler, which is a ship that can actually fire torpedoes into an active region if you're already there. And when he played it, it was broken because you didn't have to have a ship there. And he played as the Flamekeepers and he kept firing torpedoes from everywhere into every hex. And it was crazy. But the torpedo hauler is really fun, but it's not my favorite. My favorite is probably, there is a science vessel. My favorite science vessel is the one that when you claim a moon, you instantly get the benefit on the moon and still keep the moon.
That one's cool.
The Lunar Explorer, I believe it's so good. My favorite transport, although some people are going to say the rogue transports because they actually get targeting and they stack. But I love the constructors that gives you +3 on developments. If you get that early, if you get Delta constructors, you should go developments.
What's the one with 3 damage? 3 shields? 2 shields?
There's 2 shields on the Star Wing, which is the which is the Astrodrakis special ship. It's a science vessel that can take up to 2 damage. It's so good.
Isn't there also a
See, Ellie knows about the rogue transports. Look at that.
I keep filming bits with the faction upgrades, the specific ones. All I can think about are those.
This is a great idea, by the way. I absolutely think that when you know the game, I would draft ship upgrades. What an amazing! That's an awesome play. Like everyone gets dealt, and then you pick one, and then you go. The thing is, what you'd have to do is you have to agree that you're all drafting the transport. Like you'd have to do them one ship type at a time. But that would be a very cool idea.
I guess it would be that one person would have first pick of transports, and one person would first pick of then
that's the way I think you'd have to do that. Yeah.
Which could be really interesting in that if you're a very fighty faction, you're not going to want to start with the transports.
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
So
if somebody figures out how to do that, the most if you type up the rules to that, put that in our Facebook group or on BGG, that'd be fun. I think that'd be a fun way to play it.
Max is here, who I think was in our update. Was he the one hugging the box?
Oh, that's so great. That was such a great picture.
It's such a great
I wish I had that picture ready that we could put it up right here, but that was one of the greatest pictures I've ever seen.
Our latest update.
The Andromeda's Edge update shows a picture, a beautiful picture of hugging the box. Thank you for sharing that picture.
Strong, or it was just the lid.
That is the kind of picture that a publisher could only dream of getting, and someone who appreciates the years of work you just put in and is so excited to get this thing to their table. I'm just honored to have you have our game. So thank you for that. Thank you to everyone for the support. We are probably out of time. Our favorite faction.
We're too late for that one. It's too late.
I know. You're gonna have to watch the videos. The best faction of Andromeda's Edge is I then nothing. I should cut it. I should cut it right there. I will tell you when I've covered them all. In the meantime, thanks for watching, everybody. And if you have any more questions, we are around. We are fulfilling a game right now, thousands and thousands of copies still to go, and we're going to get it to everybody. And then we're going to go show it at Essen, its international debut. And we're very excited to present to you our third published game, Andromeda's Edge. Thank you so much. And yeah, chat us up in YouTube, chat us up on the comment section. Tell everybody what you think. There are people who want to live vicariously through you. If you already have a copy and you've played a game, they want to know, is it good? What did you play? How did it go? What happened? What was your score? What modules did you get? What happened? What raiders did you fight? People want to see the pictures on BGG. And if you're on BGG and you see our Essen geek preview, we've got almost, I think, 400 thumbs, but we need more thumbs. We need you to tell everybody that this is the #1 game of the show, the most anticipated game of the year, the best game of the year. I hope we'll see what that happen. The production awards, I hope to get someday. We've really pushed all the way to the edge of the galaxy to make this game and bring it here and warp it here. So thank you so much, everybody.
And if you got all this far, comment in the actual comments, not in this one, in the actual comments of the video. I need a space vegetable. Maybe not a vegetable this time. Maybe it's like a space thing.
Space vegetable. Oh, you want to comment a space vegetable if you've watched the stream? Okay.
If you got this far.
Nice. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. And we'll see you around the internet. Cheers.